I would like to welcome Mr. Robert Luddy to the podium, a man who needs no introduction except that he is a lifelong entrepreneur, a passionate supporter of school choice and sound economics, and the founder of Thales Academy, Thales College, and Captive Air Systems. Mr. Luddy is addressing the principle of natural order, the idea of teaching students to recognize the beauty in the natural world. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Luddy.
So many of the things in this talk are deeply philosophical, but I also would say that they're absolutely observable. And you'll see that as we progress through this talk. So what is a natural order? It refers to the laws and principles by which God created the world and the universe. The universe continuously changes, reproduces, and repairs itself. Again, highly observable. Thomas Aquinas stated, the eternal law is God's wisdom inasmuch as it is a directive norm of all movement and action. Human wisdom in all cases is inferior to God's, which is why it is imperative for all humans to understand the natural order and make decisions based on God's wisdom, not ours. All of God's natural creations follow a metaphysical hierarchy. Now, that's a deep concept. But again, it's observable throughout the world if you think about it. The immortality and immutability of the natural law preexists in the mind of God, and therefore, natural law is immutable. Violations of the natural order and laws create chaos, which can be absorbed daily. If you look at secular society, why do we have so much chaos? It's a complete violation of the natural order. Humans cannot achieve the same perfection as God. We strive to, but we can't do it. Everything produced by humans is ephemeral. Think of over 2,000 years of history. But God's is everlasting. Natural law is on the hearts of all humans and must be our conscience. Some people deny that, but it's absolutely undeniable. Modern education was defined by formulas, spreadsheets, and knowledge, but often does not adequately stress thinking. And the purpose of education is to learn how to think correctly. Classical education develops the skills, habits, and intellectual wonder that already characterize the great scientists of history, leading to thinking and to wisdom. This was the principle behind subjects such as quadrivium, astronomy, arithmetic, geometry, art, and music. Astronomy is the study of mathematical principles in space, which, as Socrates says in the Republic, compels the soul to look upward and lead from this world to another. In other words, the goal of science in the classical world is not absolute control of the natural world, but truth. The study of the natural science ought to lead us to the conviction that truth is real, that truth exists, that truth is understandable in the human world as it is in the natural world. Science in Latin means knowledge, and in modern parlance, science refers to our knowledge of the natural world and the mysterious cause and effect relationship that governs the actions going on inside it. From planets to cells, science is about opening the natural world for students to understand and digest. Such a deposition manifests itself in contemplation, looking at the sunset, a badger, in the same way that we gaze upon a beautiful painting. We must also communicate the sense of wonder led by the great scientists Isaac Newton, Maria Curie, Albert Einstein, to wrestle with the problems in the lab in the mathematical model, including discussion with our peers. This sense of wonder moves us to ask the question of scientific orthodoxy, in the same way that Galileo challenged the reigning scientific consensus of his day, in a way radically advancing scientific knowledge. Teachers must not only light a fire under their students, but stoke the flame. And we all know this from many, many years. Thales' Rollsville workroom has an interesting quote The mind does not require filling like a bottle, but rather like wood. It only requires kindling to create it in an impulse to think independently with an ardent desire for the truth. These new levels of scientific understanding should be pursued with the guardrails of classical education, the wisdom from 2,000 years. Like few other subjects, science has the capacity to encourage hubris, pride, and arrogance that comes with individuals think laws and rules and norms do not apply to them. Such pride can be fostered the immense power of scientific knowledge provide to us, or we become lazy because we assume we know something when really we just learned the formula. Our knowledge of cause and effect relationship governing the world around us has produced technological advancements that Aristotle and Pascal could have never dreamed of. Household appliances, plumbing, electricity, HVAC, smartphones have allowed man to control their own environment. Such power requires us all to be good stewards of these incredible resources. In science and math class, students may learn to memorize a formula that may have taken some in their entire lives to work out. As a result, we should not feel smarter than generations that have gone before us. This is a pervasive problem in modernity. Again, it can be observed almost on a daily basis. We should be taught how a difficult theorem or proof to formulate the wisdom of individuals responsible for this discovery. If we just handed a formula, we never may appreciate the difficulty and struggle of a famous scientist and mathematician to formulate it in the first place. These students recreate experiments so that understand these formulas and understand that there were great thinkers that existed in the classical world. In this best way for students to appreciate the individuals that tinkered for years with an invention or an algorithm until it worked out or demonstrated something profoundly true and beautiful in the world. The greater threat to scientific progress, the state, which controls grants and also tries to control the message. We've seen much evidence of that in the last 5 years. There's also a conflict between church and science is also well known and documented. The image of Galileo standing before an inquisition, a gray-haired wizard old man being forced to the threat of torture to recant his belief concerning the workings of the universe. Chernobyl is a very prime example. Less well documented is the conflict between the state and science. The hapless heroes, this struggle, Valery Legasov, who was one of the handful of scientists that warned the safety issues at Chernobyl and plants similar to that, which were ignored for the sake of convenience by the Politburo and the powers that be. Chernobyl is a disaster, is a dynamic example of the way government hijacks and diverts the scientific process. Whether it's a dictatorship or a liberal democracy, the state prioritizes science and engineering because of practical utility. These subjects are to the table, and they also bring the most talented engineers into service to make weapons or any other technologies that are desired. Today, the new emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, isn't about making weapons as much as keeping up with the Chinese. The fear is that the current generation of students loses interest in science and engineering, and the United States falls behind the Chinese. This is a major problem in our country, particularly because of huge prosperity. Instead, Thales Academy is working hard to encourage students the kinds of habits and attitudes that characterize the great scientists, Galileo, Newton, Pascal, and a host of others. Thales is developing lesson plans that look at the profound concepts, dew point, inertia, gravity, and explain to the students in a way that they can discover the significance of these ideas. Ideas rooted in the profound wonder of the world God has made and how the Creator has made the world. All violations of the natural order will ultimately result in utter destruction and chaos, which is why metaphysics must control science, which is also why Thales Academy help students understand the beauty and order of the natural world. Thank you very much.